Step right up and see the real African life in a real African village. The most
World's fairs are not all grand buildings, fountains, and educational exhibits. There also is the Midway.
Only 25 cents. Visit mysterious Asia. Step into another
The
world.
Midway combines education and entertainment. The 1893 World's Fair sets the tone for all the fairs that follow. Harvard anthropologist Frederick Putnam cooperates with entertainment entrepreneurs to present living museums of humanity based on academic and popular notions of racial hierarchy.
See native habitats and customs. Hear the chatter of monkeys. See native dances. Only 25 cents.
Step right this way, ladies and gentlemen. A guided tour of the Midway, right this way.
The muffled beating of tom-toms, the shuffling of many feet, popcorn and lemonade, and thousands of folks who stare and gape at strange and fierce-looking Negroes and Bedouins.
There are 4 genuine foreign villages. The most novel is certainly the Philippine village, one of the most thoroughly native things on the street of streets. Please, do not pester the people, but go ahead and take pictures.
A man in a turban and red leather shoes strides down the street, and you feel with a sense of admiration creeping over you that if you were not an American, you would be a savage of that type.
Next, we will see the slant-eyed Eskimos in their sealskins. They are not quite as picturesque as the Indians, but they're living as genuine an Eskimo life as conditions permit.
Viewing man in his primitive state, black, half-clad, it occurs to you why you are the only race not on exhibition. The exhibit is for you, and you are the crowning glory of it all.
At the Chicago Fair, some African Americans and Native Americans refuse to be relegated to the sideshows on the Midway. They demand representation and seek to publicize their accomplishments in the main exhibit halls.
We American citizens of Indian blood most earnestly and respectfully petition you to grant us some recognition as a race. An Indian exhibit in the hands of capable men of our own blood would show to all races that our advancement has been greater than is usually supposed. Give us some reason to be glad with you that America was discovered.
Negro women of this country should have a creditable display of their labor and skill at the World's Columbian Exposition. Shall 5 million Negro women allow a small number of white women to ignore them in this grand opportunity to manifest their talent and ability? Ought not the work of Negroes be placed in the hands of Negro women?
The aged abolitionist and political leader Frederick Douglass agrees to speak at the fair to confront the public with the issue of racism.
Men talk of the Negro problem. There is no Negro problem. The problem is whether the American people have honor enough to live up to their own Constitution. We would like to tell our visitors that the moral progress of the American people has kept even pace with their material civilization. That American liberty is now the undisputed possession of all American people. That here Negroes are not tortured, shot, hanged, or burned to death merely on suspicion of crime and without judge, jury, or advocate. But nothing of this can be said without qualification and without flagrant disregard of the truth.
Segregation and racism in the U.S. Army present a dilemma for African American soldiers that Filipino insurgents exploit.
To the colored American soldier, do not be the instruments of the white master's ambition. Join the insurgent cause and avenge the blood of colored men lynched in the United States.
Some American soldiers, black and white, respond to the insurgents' call.
News Dispatch, The New York Times. 7 U.S. soldiers defect to join Aguinaldo's army. They claim the Filipinos are following the tradition of George Washington. News Dispatch, The New York Times. David Fagan of the 24th Infantry, colored, becomes a Filipino general and attacks U.S. cargo barge.
Every colored soldier who goes to the Philippine Islands to fight the brave men there who are struggling and dying for their liberty is simply fighting to curse the country with colorphobia, Jim Crow cars, disenfranchisement, and lynches. And as the Filipinos belong to the darker human variety, it is the Negro fighting against himself. Any Negro soldier that will cross the ocean to help subjugate the Filipinos is a fool or a villain.
News Dispatch, Manila Times. General David Fagan eludes capture, leads Filipino insurgents for second year.
Those papers and prominent citizens who said that the Negro was a fool if he espoused the cause of our government against the Philippines have proven themselves to be the fools. The strife is no race war. It is time for the Negroes to quit claiming kindred with every black face from Hannibal on down. Hannibal was no Negro, nor is Aguinaldo. We are to share in the glories or defeats of our country's wars. That is patriotism, pure and simple.
News Dispatch, Army-Navy Journal. General Frederick Funston claims to have the head of the infamous David Fagan. The U.S. deserter is said to have been betrayed by a Filipino for a large reward. News Dispatch, San Francisco Chronicle. Local bicycle thief takes Fagan's name.
By the 1900 presidential election, the anti-imperialist movement has declined. McKinley's victory over anti-imperialist William Jennings Bryan is interpreted as a public endorsement of expansionist policies. McKinley's assassination in 1901 and Theodore Roosevelt's rise to the presidency further consolidate expansionist forces.
The boys say that no cruelty is too severe for these brainless monkeys, who can appreciate no sense of honor, kindness, or justice. With an enemy like this, it's not surprising the boys soon adopt no quarter as a motto, and fill the blacks full of lead before finding out whether they are friends or enemies.
Although opposition to annexation has waned, the brutal campaign in Samar sparks a new public outcry against Army atrocities. The Senate conducts hearings to investigate the charges.
Were you present while any villages burned?
Yes, sir. I was present at the time one was burned, but I've known of as many as half a dozen being burned.
How large were these villages?
3,000 or 4,000 people. There was one which was burned with 8,000 or 10,000 people.
During your service in the Philippine Islands, did you witness what is generally known as the water cure?
I saw the Presidente, the head official of the town, taken and placed under a tank, and the faucet was opened, and a stream of water was forced down his throat. When he was filled, it was forced out of him by pressing a foot on his stomach.
What was the effect upon these natives of giving this water cure?
Their stomachs would swell up, and I've seen blood come from their mouth.
On July 4th, 1902, 5 days after the congressional hearings adjourn, President Roosevelt declares the end of the Philippine War. The U.S. government claims the war is over, but U.S. troops will continue to battle Filipino insurgents for another 10 years. After the Philippine War, the U.S. never claimed another formal colony, but America did not hesitate to use military force to further economic expansion. With the conclusion of the formal war, the U.S. government establishes a civil administration in the Philippines. At the same time, the government brings 1,200 Filipinos to the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. The 35-acre Philippine Reservation celebrates America's colonial possessions.
In view of the depth of interest attached to this new American possession, it is not remarkable that so many attend this exhibit.
I went up to the Philippine village today and saw the wild barbaric Igorots, who eat dogs and are so vicious that they are fenced in. They thirst for blood and are the lowest type of civilization I saw.
The Philippine exhibition presents the race narrative of odd peoples who mark time while the world advances, and of savages made by American methods into civilized workers.
The Philippine Reservation in no way portrays the life of the Philippine people, and it was never intended that their true advancement be disclosed. The impression has gone abroad that we are barbarians, that we eat dog and all that sort of thing. And no matter how long we stay here, we cannot convince the public to the contrary.